What's up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and today I'm taking a look at DSP's React content. He reacts to The Last of Us Episode 8, and the only thing I'm truly happy about is that I only have this one and one more to do. These React contents have been utterly garbage and terrible. And if you guys have watched my previous react to his react, all he does is just spend his whole time talking about how the game is not, the show is not like the game, and how the show is like the game. And it seems like he based his opinion or support of the episode based on how close it is to the game. And I was hoping that episode 8 would be slightly different, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So let's watch Phil react to The Last of Us Part 8.
Here and welcome to my official review on DSP Reacts for The Last of Us television series episode 8. And if you're taking a look at the picture, I think you know, ladies and gentlemen, finally it's time. Oh yeah, it's Troy Baker week. So finally, we get to make all kinds of jokes about him wearing scarves. He's not wearing a scarf. It's winter outside in the episode, and now Troy Baker decides not to wear a scarf? Well, ruined the joke. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I really like this episode. Okay, like seriously. If of all the episodes so far in the series, I actually feel like this one, they were really trying to keep this episode accurate to the game. Now, you might say, well, how can you do that?
There you go, folks. Spoiler alert. Phil is going to compare the show to the game. And that is... Alright, so Duty's going to go on a little rant here. That is not a react, Phil. What you're doing is you're giving a synopsis of the episode and then talking about how it's not like something. That's not a react. The react is you give a little bit of detail about a specific scene or a portion of the episode or the main overarching arc of the episode, right? You kind of give a synopsis and then you give your opinion. You don't give spoilers unless it's very, critical to what you're saying. You really don't give spoilers, and you just essentially just talk about how you felt about the episode, what you enjoyed about the episode, make comparisons to maybe the game, maybe a little bit. You don't have to just, in your OCD ways, just simply just continue talking about how it's not like the game, Phil. Lord.
Video game versus TV series, what about all the gameplay? Well, that's pretty much exactly right. They cut out all the gameplay. This is the story of how Ellie, who is desperately trying to save the life of Joel, who was stabbed brutally a couple of episodes ago and is dying from an infection, how she's basically trying to find resources to cure that infection. And so she's heading out to hunt. She realizes there's no good food. She has to find food for Joel. She starts to use the hunting skills Joel taught her with the hunting rifle. She ends up shooting a deer. She's trying to track it down because it ran away, but it is bleeding out. And come to find out, it's actually David and I believe his name is James. These two characters who she encounters. Now, David and James are from a settlement that we didn't know about up until this point. But apparently this settlement is exactly the same settlement where the people who had ran into Joel and Ellie came from back at the university. So if you remember that encounter, Joel and Ellie were trying to escape. Sadly, they didn't get away scot-free because one of those people saw Joel. They got into a fight, and that's how Joel got stabbed, but Joel actually did kill that person. Well, guess what? That person was a father. That father was beloved by this community that David actually leads. And so the whole community basically wants blood for that kill. They want Joel to come to justice for murdering their community member. David is a charismatic leader of this community and uses religion as essentially a way to quell the masses, meaning reading passages from the Bible and or using religious teachings as a preacher in order to basically maintain control. What's interesting about this episode is that during the course of the episode you find out it's all a ruse. We'll talk a little bit about that later. James is his right-hand man, Although it's interesting because over the course of the episode, Troy Baker, who plays this character, reveals he's not exactly 100% sure that David is the best leader. He even questions his judgments. He basically becomes kind of like the devil's advocate character of the episode.
Okay, we just heard Phil go on for 2 minutes. Did he give any reaction? Did he give any major commentary on what he saw or opinion? No. He regurgitated what the episode was. He gave you a blow-by-blow not even a synopsis. He gave you details about the episode. There was no reaction whatsoever, like, oh yeah, that made me feel like this, or wow, I was very shocked or surprised when this happened, or wow, this reminds me of those. Calm down, dude. Calm down. Those are reactions, Phil, not you regurgitating the episode. If I want to hear if I want to hear what the episode is about, I will go watch the episode. I don't need you to give me, an OCD word for word detailed explanation of what was in the episode. I can go watch the episode. What I'm looking for is your reaction to the episode. Was it good? Why wasn't it good? Did you get any jump scares, or did you wish they had more of this? Stuff like that, Phil. That's what people care about. Most of the people that have heard your synopsis or are watching this, they probably already saw the episode. So for you to sit here and waste this video must have been like 15 minutes or whatever, just regurgitating the episode is stupid and a waste of everyone's time. You can cut this down to maybe 5 minutes, give a brief synopsis, and just give your reaction to the episode, Phil. That's all you need to do. That's all people are looking for, Phil.
Is actually very interesting and nicely played. If I remember correctly, there were characters like this in the original game who kind of played off of David, but I don't know if it was always the same person. Like Troy Baker playing the character of James actually fills the role well, and I actually feel like that's something maybe even better than the game, the way that it's portrayed. Okay? So, quick synopsis of the episode. If you played the game, you'll know the story. Basically, Ellie runs into David and now James while she is trying to hunt this.
Did we just not go over this, Phil? Did we just not? You already gave a detailed explanation of the episode. We don't need a synopsis. That's what you should have done. Well, I'm what, 7 minutes into this? That's what you should have done 7 minutes ago, Phil. You should have started it off with, I'm going to give a synopsis of the episode, and then I'm going to react to the episode, Phil. That's it. Oh my lord.
Deer. Well, they want the meat because their settlement is starving. So they crack a deal. They're going to trade some of this venison meat for penicillin so that Ellie can go save Joel. However, David pretty much figures out very quickly she's the girl who was with Joel, and of course they're all out to find Joel because he killed one of their community members. So even though he's acting all friendly, in reality his plan is to finally track them down and find out where they're hiding and to kill Joel. So, to make a long story short, the penicillin swap happens. Ellie goes, heals Joel up, and prepares him because she knows that possibly something could be going wrong. So she's injecting him with this penicillin, waiting a day or two, trying to heal him up. And of course, what ends up happening is that David and James and a group of searchers track down Ellie from basically finding her trail and end up in the community where Joel and Ellie are hiding. So now Ellie has to desperately protect Joel. So what does she decide to do? Well, I'll give Joel a knife. I'll wake him up and tell him, listen, I know you're still dying. You're in a bad way here, but you got to defend yourself. I got to go try to draw them away. And she does. She jumps on a horse. This is all basically from the game, almost shot by shot, frame by frame, very close to how the game panned out. So basically she takes off and, they take her out, meaning they take out the horse, and then they capture Ellie. They try to find Joel. Joel wakes up, and this is when it gets very, very brutal. Joel starts viciously killing them. Probably the most brutal way you've ever seen Joel in the entire series at this point. First, even though he's very weak, he murders someone with a knife by impaling them in the neck, and basically until they bleed out. Then they take Ellie. So Ellie's gone, and now Joel is incensed that they have taken Ellie, and other survivors are being sent back, or other searchers, excuse me, from the community are being sent back to look for Joel, and he's systematically capturing them, torturing them, and taking them out one by one to find out where they're holding Ellie. Okay? All this is pretty much according to the game, except for something critical that's completely missing here. The whole gameplay element. In the game, when Ellie first runs into David, okay, there is this interesting scenario where they have to defend themselves against hordes of hordes of these cordyceps zombies. And they're inside this cabin, and they're fending off every window. It's actually one of the hardest and most scary parts of the game, which is just the two of them going at it, and David's tossing her ammo and stuff so she can use her rifle to take out these zombies as they're coming in. He's fighting them off too, and it's basically like this gauntlet survival. It's kind of how David and Ellie kind of almost have a camaraderie and start to trust each other, okay? That never happens in the show. So there is a little missing, and it does feel a little bit rushed in that regard, but honestly, without having that gameplay segment in there, it still felt good to me. So missing gameplay, yes, but overall, the same plot elements are retained. Now, continuing on, again, with the plot and the plot of the game, basically, what...
Okay, Phil, I think I let you ramble on enough. I try to break these up so that my viewers don't have to hear you ramble on about nonsense. So, yeah, I'm cutting you off after 3 minutes. So, yeah, so, again, Phil, you're not doing a react. I mean, the only thing in there that was a react was you liked it. Although it wasn't similar to the game, you still enjoyed that part. Okay, so I'll give you credit for actually giving one reaction to the actual show. But what they're probably doing, Phil, is they're probably going to be doing a kind of cordyceps zombie horde episode probably in the next one, where it'll be something that will push the story along for the next season, and it will probably involve some huge horde attacking. It's probably going to go down just like Walking Dead used to do the same thing. Walking Dead used to do something very similar, where the 9th episode or the next to last episode of the season, they do something big like they just did right here, episode 8, right? And in the last episode, they'll do something pretty big, that'll push the story along. And I'm assuming that the next week's episode will involve some type of cordyceps zombie horde, and that's why they didn't want to do it twice. And that's perfectly fine, Phil. It's okay. You have to understand, Phil, that the game is simply just the source material. That the producers and the writers take bits and pieces and overarching storylines from that. But it's not going to be true exactly like the game. For example, I don't think they're going to kill Joel off next season. That would make no sense to kill Joe off, even though in the game he dies in the second game. They will probably hurt him, maim him, he'll probably get taken out for a little bit, but I don't think they're going to kill him right away. They may kill him in season 3 or season 4, or they may not kill him at all. Very similar to what they did in The Walking Dead. And I always use The Walking Dead because The Walking Dead had about 150 comics to take storylines for, and the producers of the show did. They took overarching concept storylines but change characters or modify things. For example, Walking Dead Carol dies in the prison, so that would be season 3. She dies. She essentially has a problem with she was dating Tyrese in the comic. Tyrese slept with Michonne, started being with Michonne. Carol was heartbroken, and Carol ended up essentially becoming friends with a walker, which she ends up throwing herself at, and that's how she dies. So she's long gone in the comic, and in the TV series, she was one of the main characters that was alive to the very end, and now she actually has a spin-off. Now, in your mind, though, that's a problem because Carol died in the comic, in the prison. But they kept her alive, so you would probably have a problem with that. That's what I'm talking about, Phil. It doesn't have to be exactly the same as the game or the source material. They can make modifications as long as the overarching story fits. That's the reason why Walking Dead lost out of favor, because they started killing off main characters, and it did not look like the source material. Like, it wasn't even close. You know what I mean? And that's why people have problems with it. They didn't have problems with making modifications or changes or updating certain characters or whatever. The big problem was that it really didn't look like the comic at all near the end. Now if HBO does that with The Last of Us and they completely modify it and change it, then okay, I can see a gripe that you might have that it doesn't feel like the source material. But I don't think they're going to do that. They make some modifications. I think the big one is Joel doesn't die in season 2. I think what happens is they keep him alive longer, and then he may pass away later on. It doesn't make sense to whack off his character, especially in the show. So yeah, so I'm leaving it right there. I still got a few more minutes, but it's just him rambling about how it's not like the game and no one cares. Anyway, thank God I only have one more left of this. If you enjoyed this, please leave a comment. If not, well, I only have one more, so deal with it. Alright, folks. Peace out.